body swap movies. These types of movies have been done for decades at this point, but I think the most notable franchise would be Freaky Friday. I would say with pretty good confidence that I think the most known Freaky Friday movie and the most widely received Freaky Friday movie would be the Freaky Friday 2003 movie, which stars Jamie Lee Curtis from Borderlands and Lindsay Lohan from Life Sized. The movie is pretty famous, but it's about a kind of rebellious teenage girl with a more uptight mother who don't get along, and eventually they have a kind of big fight with each other, and something magical happens that causes them to switch bodies for a day, and they're forced to see things from each other's perspectives and learn that each other's lives are much harder than they thought, and they gain more respect towards each other than they had before. This movie in itself is actually a remake of, I believe, 2 other Freaky Friday movies and a novel, but this is not the movie that we are going to be talking about today, unfortunately. We are going to be talking about the 2018 Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM, Freaky Friday. Hi, my name's Alyssa, and I'm a Billy fan, obviously. And I watched a video a bit ago about the different eras of Disney Channel, and they referred to the era of Disney Channel that I remember the most as the social media era of Disney, and I believe this era was like 2017, 2016 to about 2020 or so. This was basically when shows like Bizaardvark, Stuck in the Middle, Andy Mack, those shows started airing. Basically the era that everyone talks shit about, but that was the era that I was like in elementary school for, so that was what I grew up with, so. But during this era of Disney Channel, they released a Freaky Friday remake of sorts. And although I haven't seen it discussed too much online, it's a kind of a core memory for me because they kind of like promoted the shit out of it. But Disney Channel remade Freaky Friday in 2018. The movie starred Cozy, I'm so sorry I'm gonna say this wrong, Zuhisdorf? Oh, sorry. But she played the daughter figure in the movie, whose name is Ellie Blake, and Heidi Blickenstaff, I think that's how you say that too. I'm so bad with last names. But Heidi played the mother figure in the movie, whose name is Catherine Blake. But they didn't really say her name too much in the movie, so I kind of forgot it at a certain point and just started writing down the mom in my script. So I might like use the names like interchangeably. Now you probably saw it in the thumbnail, but this movie has not too great reviews, like, at all. Not many people like this movie at all, and I don't really even think it was too popular with like kids, really. But one thing that sets this movie apart from the 2003 movie is that it is actually a full-on musical. The 2003 movie did have some music in it, but where it's placed and stuff, it wouldn't really be considered a musical. But this movie is fully a musical and is actually based on the Freaky Friday musical. Similar with the movie, I'm not too sure if people really know that there's a Freaky Friday musical, but it opened in 2016 and it had an like okay run, I want to say. The reviews were kind of mixed. It seemed like it closed either around the time the movie was released or around the time it was announced that they were making the movie. But the musical is more based on the novel rather than the film, and I actually could not find much about the musical. Again, it didn't have too long of a run, it kind of had mixed reviews, and it doesn't really seem like it ever got like a kind of fan base. I mean, I'm not really too sure if musicals get fan bases, but from what I've seen they do, so this one just never really got like a solid fan base. But again, it has been years, so I'm not too sure. But a little fun fact is that the same actress who plays the mom in the 2018 Freaky Friday movie is the same actress who plays the mom in the musical. So from what I remember, this movie was promoted heavily like so much, and I really can't tell if it paid off or not, because when it first premiered, it premiered at the 8 p.m. slot on Disney Channel on August 10th, and it had 1.58 million viewers. And to me, 1.58 million viewers is a lot of viewers. But like when you think about it for like Disney Channel numbers, it kind of doesn't seem like a lot, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's certainly not like High School Musical numbers or anything, but I don't know, only like 1.5 million viewers. Like, you didn't even get 2 million and you're the Disney Channel. I don't know. That just seems really low for a like DCOM premiere. You know what I mean? And like this movie really didn't do well off the bat because it was actually like upon release, it was like automatically the lowest rated DCOM, and it was only dethroned the year after when the live action Kim Possible movie came out. Yeah, so not great reviews, and again, kind of a low view count, and it's kind of crazy that the views were that low again on a DCOM. I mean, I think me and my sister were one of those viewers, again, because like we were watching Disney Channel around that time. We were both in elementary school. But when I say that Disney promoted the shit out of this movie, I mean they literally promoted the shit out of this movie. Like, they literally dedicated their whole, like, summer programming to this movie. They had an entire, like, I remember it was literally all summer. It was, like, June until, like, literally, like, after that movie premiered. They had an entire, like, Disney Channel Go Summer campaign, it was, like, called. And they would just play the one song from that movie over and over again. And I get why they chose that song. You know, it's like the like most upbeat out of the movie, I think, and it like doesn't spoil anything, or like it's a good song, but it doesn't have any like too much relevance to the plot. But no, they were promoting that movie so hard, like they played it at least like 4 times every ad break. I'm not even kidding. They would play it like during the transition from the actual show into the commercials. They would play it during the commercials, like in between ads. They would play it during like the transition into the ads back into the show. Like, you could not escape it. You could not escape it. Another thing Disney did to try to promote this movie was in the Disney Now app. I don't know if you guys remember that. Crazy times. They did a live interactive game that you could play along with while watching the movie. I don't remember if this was during the premiere or like just during like a time they did like a rerun with it. But yeah, I mean that was cool. They did it a lot. Me and my sister had the Disney Now app, and I think we did it a few times, especially with Descendants. We really love Descendants, and I think we did it with Zombies too. But I can't imagine that one went too well since I don't remember doing it, and just because of the negative attention the movie seemed to receive. Now, to me, it seemed like they tried to aim this movie at slightly older audiences because, I don't know, to me around that time it seems like that's what they were trying to do with Disney Channel just a little bit with like Andy Mack and stuff, but it just kind of didn't work, and they actually had to change and like alter lyrics in the original from the original musical when translating it to the Disney Channel movie because they weren't like kid friendly. Like the original musical like wasn't as child friendly as the Disney Channel movie, obviously. So they said some curse words. But technically this movie was actually the first DCOM to be based off of a Broadway musical. But I think with that, we should start watching the movie. So our movie opens with an animated sequence for the like title credits, basically. And it is actually set to an original song that was co-written by the lead actress Cozy. And I don't think it's a bad song. It definitely seemed like they were trying to go for like that like teen angst like song. Like it kind of seemed like to me that they were trying to replicate the song that was in the 2003 Freaky Friday movie, but it just seems like more like childish version of it, like I don't know. I really like the song from the 2003 movie. This one kind of seems like, if, and no offense to the writers, because again, it's a fine song. It's not horrible or anything. But it kind of just seems like a child, like, romanticizing teen angst and, like, being a teenager and stuff. And, like, it makes sense because, like, it's a Disney Channel movie, of course, but it just seems like they were trying to replicate that song. Anyway, so our opening shot is of a group of friends who are all on their phones, and this is set in Ellie's room, Ellie's huge room, Ellie's studio apartment, whole apartment itself room. Why is this room so big? Anyways, but they are all looking at the list of items that they need to find for a school event that is happening that same night called The Hunt, which is basically a big, like, town-wide scavenger hunt for all the kids in this grade. And right off the bat, we're kind of shown that Ellie is kind of mean based off the way that she's talking to her friends.
Ellie, nothing's changed.
I know, Carl, but
Her two friends are Carl and Monica, and they will come back later. But while they're talking in her room, her little brother Fletcher comes in and tries to perform a magic trick for them. But they're all just grossed out by it, and he gets told to leave.
Power magic!
ew.
But as he's leaving, they don't notice that he goes back into Ellie's room and steals an hourglass. And that will come back later again. But this scene basically boils down to, we are told that this group of friends wants to do the hunt together, and Carl and Monica are a bit nervous. Ellie is like 100% in on it, but she does not think that her mom is going to allow her to do it, but she wants to ask and she wants to like really push to make sure she'll say yes. So we then are shown our mom character, Catherine, and she is getting ready for a wedding, and it is actually her own wedding, and she's getting married to a man named Mike. And it is actually a really big deal in this movie that the mom is like catering and planning and putting together her own wedding all by herself, like with her own catering company and everything. She's doing everything herself. And there's actually supposed to be a magazine coming later today that is going to cover the story of how she's doing all of this herself. But we know that the mom is very stressed, and Ellie will not come down for breakfast when she is called, so she comes up to get her, and her friends leave before they will be late to school. And I will say, the actress who plays the mom is pretty convincing. Like, at least I think she's doing a good job. I mean, she gives me more like aunt vibes than mom vibes, but she's pretty good. She's pretty good. But obviously it is clear that the mom and the daughter don't get along. Again, the mom is very like perfectionist type, the daughter is messy. And because this is a musical, they sing a song about it, and this song is basically about their wants and how Ellie wants to just have one day where she's free to be herself. She doesn't want her mom like nagging her. She just wants to be her like true messy self for one day. The mom sings about how she wants everything to be exactly perfect for one day. She doesn't want Ellie resisting her or messing it up for one day. But during the song, it is shown that Ellie realizes that her brother Fletcher has the hourglass, and they get into a fight over it, and it is revealed that this hourglass is very important to Ellie and that it was given to her by her dad, and it's not very subtle in this movie at all, just right off the bat, that Ellie's biological father, and who I assume is also the brother's biological father, has passed away. And throughout the song, just the faces that Ellie makes, it is just blatantly obvious that she's not too fond of Mike. But after everyone's done singing, they sit down at the table to have their breakfast, and Ellie gets to ask her mom about doing the hunt tonight, and her mom says no, because in her words it is dangerous and scares her. And they also have a rehearsal wedding, like, dinner that same night. Ellie is obviously upset about this and starts to argue with her mom, and when Mike tries to intervene, Ellie gets even more upset and pulls the "you're not my dad, Mike" move.
Mike, can you stop pretending that you're our dad? Because you're not. Ellie!
Which makes Ellie's mom even more upset, and when she is told to apologize, she doesn't, and Ellie storms off, telling her mom that she hates her. This is very important. So Ellie tells her mom that she hates her, and Catherine tells Ellie that she hates her attitude. So they basically sing a song that boils down to, "My life sucks more than you, why don't you try being me for a day? Try being my size for a day, you don't know how it is." But while they sing the song, they are both holding the hourglass that the dad gave to Ellie, and it begins to light up like a purplish pink, and as they sing, it basically like this like big light comes out of it and they switch places. So once they realize that they switch places, they're obviously freaked out, and the mom in Ellie's body drops the hourglass and it shatters on the floor completely.
This is not funny.
Now from this point forward, they are swapped, so I will be referring to the characters as like their consciousness, basically. So like when I say the mom, it's going to be Ellie's body technically, but again like the mom's consciousness. And then like when I say like Catherine or the mom, it's technically going to be Ellie, but like in the mom's body. So just to clarify that, that's how I did it. That's just what made sense in my head. So they spend a bit of time freaking out, but they eventually calm down and they realize, and Ellie remembers that their dad had actually given them 2 hourglasses, one for Ellie and one for the mom, and it takes a bit of pressure to get it out of the mom, but she eventually admits that she sold the hourglass to an antique shop, and this obviously upsets Ellie, and she feels like her mom was trying to forget that their dad ever existed, and her mom claims that she just needed to let go of some things. 2 people from the magazine that I mentioned earlier show up to the house, the like writer of the magazine and the photographer, and they are here to cover the story of how the mom is doing her whole wedding herself. But at this point, Catherine is not Catherine, she is basically Ellie. And Ellie not being too fond of Mike or this whole wedding happening, she's acting very strange. So obviously our premise here is that Ellie has to pretend to be her mom and pretend to know what she's doing while putting on this wedding and everything going on in her mom's life right now. And the mom has to pretend to be Ellie at school and everything. And for some reason, I think the scene has like the like one joke that I like kind of thought was like truly funny. I mean, this movie, most of the negative reviews were that this movie's jokes fall flat, and I think they really do. Like they kind of mostly just got like a little nose breathe out of me. But I think the only joke that I found funny, and it was the stupidest joke ever that I could have actually found funny, was when they're trying to distract the like reporter who's here for the magazine, the mom goes, "Have you seen the backyard yet?" And Ellie goes, "It's in the back."
Have you seen the backyard?
It's in the back.
It wasn't even that funny, but it was the funniest part of this movie, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Getting back to it though, obviously the other doesn't believe that the other's life is too hard, and they sing a song about how they've got this, you know, the day's gonna be so easy, you know, it's basically just gonna be like a vacation for them. And I just have to get this out of the way too. What is wrong with Ellie's school? What time does this school day start at like 1 p.m. or something? How did Ellie have enough time to have friends over in the morning? And I'm gonna assume that wasn't like 6 a.m. because try getting high schoolers that productive at 6 a.m. How did she have time to have friends over in the morning on a school day? Like, have that much time to come downstairs, like, have breakfast, fight with her mom, go upstairs, fight with her mom some more, switch bodies with her mom, have a whole conversation about it, talk to some more people, sing a song about how her day's gonna be easy, walk around getting ready, and then walk to school in the rain and just still be on time. I mean, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, they locked those doors like the second you're late, like, actually. So, like, she couldn't have been late. People are still in the hallway and stuff. Like, she still technically made it to school on time. Like, how do you have so much time in the morning? So much time. But I mean, Disney Channel has never been good at portraying school accurately. You know, there's always just a lot of, like, barely 15-minute classes where all they do is just talk to each other the entire time, and then the rest of the day is just, let's stand in front of the lockers and talk. So I guess it makes sense. But during the song, we are introduced to Ellie's rival for the hunt. I'm not too sure if he's a rival or a bully or what she is, but we are introduced to Savannah, and her whole thing is that she wants to win the hunt instead of Ellie. Which, I mean, she's kind of just the only one who's, like, vocal about it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure every kid who's participating in the hunt thinks they're gonna win. Like, or at least wants to win, even if they don't admit it. So, anyways, the mom actually does end up getting late for class because she can't get into Ellie's locker, obviously, because she doesn't know the combination. And it's in the hallway that we are introduced to Adam, who is Ellie's, like, love interest for this movie. And he eats one of the sandwiches that the mom packed for Ellie originally, and they flirt a bit, or at least he tries to flirt with her. The mom's a little confused at this point. It is also revealed in the scene that Adam is the list master for the hunt, which means he is in charge of all the, like, scavenger hunt items that the kids have to find. So the mom then goes to a biology class, and again, with the, like, Disney Channel school tropes, like, everybody who is important to the plot is just in the same class. You know, like, Ellie's two friends are in that class, Adam's in the class, like, Savannah and her little friend are in the class. Like, everybody who's plot relevant is just in the same class for some reason. And of course, Savannah comes up to antagonize Ellie, and I think the mom threatens to murder her.
Do you need a bucket?
You know, Savannah,
Mm-hmm.
today I'm feeling pretty comfortable with a knife.
I'm not too sure about that one there. Anyways, I'm not too sure what Adam's doing in that class, actually, because he kind of just walks around. Like, occasionally he'll sit at Ellie's table, but, like, he also just kind of walks around, so I'm not too sure what he does. Like, he's always just there. Anyways, but this song is a little bit problematic, I would say, because it's the mom singing in Ellie's body about how her grown-up brain can't control her teenage parts, and she finds Adam attractive and is, like, getting attracted to him. Yeah, so apparently, I don't really know if there's a way to make this plot point or song good, you know what I mean? Because apparently, in the original musical, it was the mom getting attracted to the biology teacher in her daughter's body. So I don't know if that makes it any better, but also the thought of the mom's mind being attracted to this teenager, this high school student. I think they said that these kids were, like, sophomores in high school. And, like, again, I don't know how, like, I don't know the logic of body swapping, you know, like, maybe if I got some, like, knowledge or, like, lore that, you know, like hormones and stuff were affected. I don't even know. I don't know a way that you can make this any little bit better, you know? And it's even worse because, like, just everyone is, like, flirting with Adam. Adam, to me, sounds like a self-insert. Like, everybody is just, like, always like, Adam is the best, we love Adam. But, like, later on, like, Ellie in the mom's body is flirting with Adam, which, I mean, like, makes sense, I guess, because it's her mind. But, like, even later, the mom in Ellie's body is, like, acting weird and, like, flirty with Adam. It's like Anyways, but during this, Ellie goes to the wedding venue to talk with the magazine people, and Mike shows up and they are encouraged to do the dance that him and Catherine had been learning. And you probably recognize by now that Ellie does not know this dance. She is not actually Catherine. And Ellie's just very uncomfortable with Mike this entire scene, which I can kind of understand. You know, she's not too fond of him in the first place. But having the mind of a teenager, even being in your mom's body, but still having like your mind of a teenager and having this like grown man that you really don't like coming up on you and having to do stuff that you're not comfortable with, I can understand where she's coming from. This movie is very 2018, but also kind of behind its time, I feel like, because I feel the need to inform you that during this scene, Ellie dabs. You remember that? Anyways, but while Ellie is doing her little interpretive dance, she ends up absolutely destroying the cake that the mom's assistant Tori had brought out for the magazine people to see. But then they both meet up at school for a conference because apparently Ellie will not pass 10th grade if she has one more unexcused absence, and her grades are getting very bad. And apparently she's just been slipping in school in general. And during this conference, it is said that Ellie's grades and behavior and everything just started kind of going downhill after her dad died. And they have a bit of a conversation about it, but Ellie's still kind of like doing that thing where like she kind of pushes like conversations about her dad away, even though it's like clear that they affect her. But we kind of move on from the scene pretty quickly, and Ellie then goes to pick up her little brother from school, and she goes to the antique store that her mom told her she sold the second hourglass to, and the store actually closed, and there's a sign on the door that said all the items they had in the shop were distributed to about over 30 other stores in the area. Great. But then they get the idea to have the hourglass put on the list for the hunt so that they basically have a bunch of people looking for it, and it will be easier than trying to get to all of these 33 stores when all of the wedding stuff is happening and just everything's going on. So the mom tries to get Adam on board with putting the hourglass on the list for the hunt, but he doesn't really agree to. She kind of just ends up going off on him, and he's like, "You're not who I thought you were."
You're not who I thought you were.
And then that's kind of the end of that there. We then go to Ellie and the brother, who are walking the dog. Their big ass dog that is a giant dog. He's cute, but that's a really big dog. Anyways, but Ellie decides to sing a sad song to her brother about how parents lie about everything and they suck. And towards the end of the song, it's very clear that it's just her projection on the fact that she's upset and feels like her dad lied to her because he died.
No, it's upsetting, but life isn't fair. And parents die. They tell you they won't, but they lie.
I'm sorry, I know grief is hard. Everyone deals with it in different ways. You know, Ellie's clearly going through it. But like, Jesus Christ, girl, he died. She's like, parents lie when they'll tell you they'll always be there. Like, I don't know if he could really control it. Like, again, we're not really told how he died, but like, I don't know, it's just like assuming he died from like more natural causes or something like that. Like, I don't know, the only way I could think of like maybe this being justified is like if he like did it to himself, you know what I mean? But like if he just like died from an illness or something like that, like I don't know, I don't really know if being like mad at him for dying is the answer here, girly, but okay. But obviously this upsets the brother, who is said to be like 10 years old. Like, yeah, like I think they said the like, I think they said the dad died like 6 years before this. This kid is 10, and he's like, oh, the parent that I barely knew died because he lied to us and just didn't care. Like, that's what my mom's saying. Like, but no, actually the real reason he's running away is because he wants to go to Vegas for his magic act, and Ellie basically is like, you're not going to Vegas, you're so stupid. Yeah, but basically he runs away, he packs a suitcase, he escapes off of his balcony. This kid has a balcony in his room. Why is his house so big? They made it a point earlier in the movie that, like, the mom took out, like, a second mortgage on their home to, like, start her catering business, and if this magazine interview doesn't go well, then they're gonna lose their house. But, like, why is this house so big? Maybe don't get a mansion then. You know what I mean? I feel like that's also another thing that's pretty common in Disney movies and, like, shows and stuff, you know? Just, like, obnoxiously big houses and stuff. Like, very fancy, big spaces, like... Anyways, but by this point in the day, Ellie is very stressed, and she borderline makes, like, the assistant Tori quit, and she almost calls off the wedding with Mike. But they then find a note that Fletcher ran away, so obviously, like, everything has stopped, and we're now gonna go look for him. Obviously. So Fletcher makes it to a bus stop, and Adam just so happens to be at this bus stop too. And Fletcher recognizes Adam, and Adam recognizes that Fletcher is trying to run away and manages to talk him out of it and brings him back home. And Ellie manages to talk to Adam and convince him to get the hourglass put on the list for the hunt. And just a few scenes earlier, Ellie's friends thought that Ellie was acting weird that day, so they're like, we're not gonna do the hunt with you tonight. And then after Fletcher comes back, they come to check on them, and they're like, actually, we will do the hunt with you. Like, why is everyone in this movie so easy? Like, Adam just immediately forgives Ellie, the friends just immediately forgive Ellie. Like, later on, Mike basically just immediately forgives Catherine for almost calling off their own wedding. And I mean, like, it's crazy. Some of the decisions in this movie are a little crazy. But this is the part in the movie where you can really begin to see that they're kind of coming around and beginning to see things from each other's perspective. So the hunt comes around, and I have to say, it looks so cold outside when they're doing this. Like, I don't remember if they said where this movie, like, took place or anything, but, like, they're standing outside in fairly light jackets and stuff, yet, like, you can see everyone's breath, and it just looks so cold outside. Anyways, but this is where we hear the infamous Go song. And again, it's a nice song. It's basically just a song about having fun and just stepping out of your comfort zone and stuff. And no, we can really see the mom's perspective change here, because again, she was very, like, a perfectionist before, and again, they're, like, uptight character, and here we can see her just letting go, having fun, realizing, like, what comes from that. But back at the house, we can see Ellie starts to kind of come down, and she apologizes to her brother and apologizes to Mike, and they get to have a bit of a conversation. Fletcher says that he actually kind of really likes Ellie and admires her, and Ellie gets to kind of admit to him, like, you know, through the mom, that, you know, she doesn't actually hate him, she's just, you know, angry at she doesn't even know what. And this is very similar to what she says to Mike, and she actually begins to kind of warm up to Mike in this scene. Mike kind of explains that he's not trying to replace her father, and he gets that she's kind of just upset at everything, and that whatever insults she throws at him, he'll take it. He's basically just like, whenever she's ready to accept me, she will, even if she never does. He's like, I'm just gonna be patient with her, you know, I'm not trying to replace her father, I don't want her to forget her father. And he's even like, he like flips a picture around that had been turned around with the previous dad, and he's like, you know, neither should you shouldn't forget the father either. And this is where we can kind of see that Ellie starts to really understand Mike and starts to like him too. And Ellie seems to finally be okay with the wedding. So the hunt goes on, and we cut to the next morning, and Ellie and her friends have been up all night doing the hunt, and they finally find the hourglass in a antique watch shop. And right as they are about to get it from the owner, Savannah comes in and steals it. The mom then has her little like realization moment that she can't always be in control of things and that things can't always go perfectly and nice. She basically body slams Savannah across the room and steals the hourglass and runs to the finish line. And obviously, she's first, she wins, and she gets to keep the hourglass. Which, glad that, like, technically Ellie won the hunt, you know what I mean? But I feel bad for Ellie that she wasn't the one to win the hunt, because it was something that she had been looking forward to for a while, and it must feel crazy that it was your body that won the hunt. Everyone thinks it was you that won the hunt, but it was your mom's consciousness that won the hunt. Like, she wasn't actually there to win the hunt, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel bad in a way. But anyways, because the hunt took all night, it is now the day of the wedding, and Ellie and the mom are, you know, in the little dressing room at the venue, both in their wedding attire. Ellie is the maid of honor, and they use the second hourglass to try to switch back, but it does not work. So they sing a song about how, you know, they're basically just in shock that now they're gonna be stuck like this forever, and, you know, Ellie is upset that she's gonna be stuck as an adult forever with, you know, like the mind of a teenager, and, you know, she never actually got to experience growing up, it just happened. And, you know, the mom is like, oh, I'm stuck in a teenager's body with the mind as an adult, and I'm gonna have to go through so much again that I already experienced, and that like hurt me. But, you know, the hourglass doesn't work and there's not much they can do about it, so Ellie has to walk down the aisle and get married to Mike as the mom. But as they're both standing at the altar, Ellie is like, I cannot do this. Obviously, like, I honestly don't blame her for, like, not really wanting to pretend to be her mom during a wedding. I mean, there are definitely points in this movie where I'm like, you guys could not have tried to sell this at least a little bit more. But, like, with the parts where she has to be, like, affectionate with Mike, I get it, because, like, again, that's technically a teenager with, like, an adult man that she's, like, not too fond of. Or at least wasn't, but, like, still, like, you don't want to be touchy with this guy. But instead of continuing on with the wedding, she expresses a bit of her feelings to Mike, and then she turns around to her mom and expresses her feelings to her, and she ends her little speech by saying that she loves her mom. And that causes the hourglass that the mom is holding start lighting up that purple-pink color. So the mom then sets it back, and they sing a little bit while both holding the hourglass, and then finally, while at the altar, they both switch places. And you know what is so crazy to me? How did nobody at this wedding see this hourglass? Did they all just like black out? Because how did nobody at this wedding see this hourglass lighting up purple? And then the mom and daughter duo at the front of the wedding magically switch places in this like big ball of light coming from this hourglass, and everyone's still just sitting there staring, not doing anything. You're telling me absolutely nobody thought that this was weird? Nobody saw that? Everyone just like blacked out? Nobody saw that.
Ellie.
Hey yo, what the fuck was that? Did y'all see that? What? But whatever, now they're both back to their normal bodies, and I think the reason it worked the first time, or the reason it didn't work the first time, was because they were trying too hard. But the first time they're like, alright, let's go, let's switch back now. Let's hurry this up now. And they're like, yep, learned so many lessons, blah blah blah, saw the world your way for one day, let's go! And then it didn't work because they were too desperate, but like, now that they like talked it out, they both said that they loved each other instead of that they hated each other. You know, they actually realized that they did understand each other now. You know, I think that's why it worked instead. But we can now get on with the wedding.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride again.
Actually, I take it back. Maybe the only person who didn't black out during that was the pastor, because he sounds so annoyed.
Kiss the bride again.
Again. Anyway, so now it's like, what would you call it? So, like, reception? Wedding reception, I guess? And Adam is there. The mom invited him. And Ellie and Adam get together. Yay. And we are shown that the magazine did, in fact, end up covering the story. So they get to keep their mansion. And we end on a nice little song about how happy Ellie is to be back in her own body. So that was Freaky Friday, the 2018 DCOM musical remake. I definitely do agree that the comedy of this movie fell a little bit flat. I don't think the music was horrible. It was actually better than I was expecting. You know, I remembered it being pretty fine when I was a kid. Like, I thought it was okay, but like, re-listening, it was like, I thought it would be worse, you know what I mean? I thought my memory was like betraying me. But unfortunately, I do think the reviews were pretty accurate. You know, there are some parts of this movie that are like, except for that one joke that, again, I thought was way too funny than it should have been.
It's in the back.
I don't know, it was kind of pretty nostalgic watching this movie for me, again, because it was like one of my last years watching Disney Channel when this movie came out, so I think it was in like 4th grade when it came out. And again, even though it wasn't my favorite, I still watched it, and I still kind of enjoyed it when I was a kid. Again, wasn't my favorite, but going back and watching it was still pretty fun. So let me know down below if you guys have any memories watching this movie. And if you like this video, then like the video. And then maybe watch another video and then consider subscribing. Consider it. All of my links will be down below if you want to see more of me. And I will hopefully see you guys next time. Bye!